Don't focus on what is in the Constitution. Focus on what, from the time the new Constitution was enacted, what have they been doing? Because a lot of the things that are in the Constitution, that explains what their roles are. These are roles that can be played by individual commissions. Teacher Service Commission, Parliamentary Service Commission, National Police Service Commission. So what is the role of SRC? Salaries and the Remuneration Commission. After they have set the salaries and the allowances of civil servants and state officers, they wait again for another year to review what do they do. I think this should be an advisory board that should only be meeting on maybe once in a month or twice.
Here, and of course many Kenyans, and I'll just read some of the comments that are coming through in regards to the question that we asked. If we can just run that question again, and we are asking whether the members of parliament should be compelled to refund what the SRC has termed, quote, illegal house allowances. This is 250,000, which is backdated, by the way. So we're looking at a huge amount that is going to be paid by the coffers. And should members of parliament be compelled to refund the irregular house allowances awarded to them? And there is Wesley who says, can they refund really? And of course that's been left there, whether it's really a possibility even for it to be refunded. A huge wage bill is wasted on public spending, isn't the legislature or even the judiciary, but rather the executive. Insurmountable petrol dollar is lost here. Therefore, members of parliament spending is just a tip of the iceberg. What are your feelings, Honorable ODEGE, on the general question of the MPs now receiving the house allowances, which some feel was done backdoor? You're already enjoying...
You'll allow me to wear two hats. I'll talk as an MP, then I'll talk as a trade unionist. If I want to discuss this as an MP, let me say this to Lynn Mengich. She's 1 year old in the office, and she has not even released a plan of action, how she is going to harmonize pay in the public service, or how she is going to advise on the pay in the public service. We don't want SRC where the chair only sees the opportunity to market ourselves, not really being seen working for Kenyans. SRC is now over 6 years old. I would say 7, because the first commissioners were in the office in 2012. They came in to review the pay structure in the public service. I can tell you the disparity in the public service up to now, when the SRC is celebrating their 7th year in the office, is yawning. They have never done anything to harmonize pay in the public service. They have huge tasks to perform, but what they're doing, they only look for opportunity to market themselves in the press and try to woo Kenyans on their side. They're not telling Kenyans the truth.
So you're speaking still as a member of parliament?
Yeah.
Who one might see as defending the...
What I can say is this. Let Lynn come out publicly and tell us the reason why she is against MPs earning house allowance. Because whatever she's saying here, illegal. What's illegal? This money, which MPs were paid, MPs don't allocate money to themselves. The money to Parliamentary Service Commission comes from the Treasury. Okay, and the money was allocated to them by the Treasury to pay house allowance.
According to her, she says that it is unfair that, members of parliament would receive that housing allowance, yet you, like any other public servant, have an opportunity for mortgage.
Can I tell you something?
Which is 20 million.
Can I tell you something? I've worked in the civil service for 24 years. We had the provisions for mortgage everywhere for ourselves in the civil service.
So why have mortgage then?
Mortgage, if you know the meaning of mortgage, mortgage should be pegged on your house allowance. House allowance would help you to pay the mortgage. How can you be given a mortgage when you don't have a provision of house allowance? Where are you going to get money to pay the mortgage? Mortgage is purely a scheme coined so that you opt from paying rent, you use your house allowance to get the mortgage to buy your own house. If she is coming up with a new term on mortgage, giving somebody mortgage is not relieving somebody from other
to
payments.
get house allowance.
Only.
All right.
Can I add something small on on Lane? This one on trade union angle. Let Lane tell the public that currently, as we are talking, we still have people in this country working for the government of Kenya and are paid 13,000 shillings as salary, and Lane has not said anything about it.
All right, Honorable Elachi, do you feel that there is a point that Lean has in regards to the amount of money that members of parliament are receiving, then to have a housing allowance, is that a priority right now for them?
I would say, one, the biggest challenge Lean faces is the same regulations they put in place is what is eating them. Because in them as commissioners, they have house allowance, they have mortgage. You come to the executive, they have house allowance, they have mortgage. Now, if you decided to use that law, you need to now re-explain yourself and tell members, you are not allowed to have house allowance because of reasons 1, 2, 3. But don't use mortgage, because mortgage is all over. Even in the county assemblies, we have mortgage for people to buy, and it is pegged on your salary. For example, in the house, in the county assemblies. And that's what also was in parliament. But at the same time, you are the same person. What is this? What's the difference between this employer who is in the commission and an MP? She needs to explain that clearly for Kenyans to understand that, yes, if you are removing, then all state officers who have mortgage, then you don't deserve to have house allowance. If that is the proposal she wants to put on place. That's how she has to handle it. All state officers, because as long as they are coined within that, then you will be tied.
The rule should apply to all of them, not just to some of them.
Not just to some of them. So if you are removing, start recovering from the executive this thing called house allowance.
All right, Honorable Didmus Baraza.
I think what I just want to add to what my two colleagues have said is that members of parliament receive a mortgage of 20 million. This mortgage is a loan which you have to pay in 5 years.
In 5 years, yeah.
While other civil servants and state officers will get a mortgage payable in 20 years. So you cannot say that, you can only say that I've given you mortgage, I don't need to give you a house allowance if the mortgage is a grant, you not repay. But as long as I'm repaying, this is my own money. I'm repaying back. Why will you peg that have mortgage not be given a house allowance? Two, what SRC should do is that they should they are misleading the public, and this lady want to play into the public gallery. I want her to publish all the salaries of public officers and civil servants, state officers, including all their allowances, including whether they get grant or not. You will see that members of parliament are just being lynched on things which don't
Then
exist.
the question would be, why would she do that? What would be the motive? What would be the driving force?
She's marketing herself.
For what?
To be posted as an ambassador after retiring.
So it's a self-marketing scheme. Well, she's not here to defend herself.
No, I don't think so. I don't think it's a marketing skill. I just think that they need to just resit. It's a new team. Look at now all the loopholes that came in, that were done, that are erroneous, where you're not explaining or giving regulations why these state officers have to go through these rules and these ones have to go through. You just need to bring that comparison for people to understand.
Let me ask something. When this post of CAS was created and were ranked like cabinet secretary and were given all the benefits of a cabinet secretary, where were they?
Who, SRC?
Yeah, where were they?
That's a question that they would answer. I want us now to close, and I'll need your closing comments.
I think, those are some of, that is why you feel now, why people feel you're doing a double standard thing.
And majority of these people contested to be MPs, they lost, and they are now cabinet secretaries, enjoying everything, and nobody has talked about it from SRC.
All right, I want us to wind up now, and I'll get your closing comments.
Even
and
if they lost, they deserve a job.
We've talked about institutions.
Not in an illegal office.
And one thing that we have as a country is that we have very many institutions right now, but they seem to be run by either
in the whole world where we have so many things called commissions.
So I need your closing comments, and I'll start with you, Madam Elachi, on whether really these commissions and these institutions are working for Kenya. They're there to ensure that things run, but it seems the more commissions and the more institutions we have, the more things get stuck. Is it incompetence, or is it that we have just too many?
You know, one, I would say our constitution was looked at the challenges we faced for it to decide, and for Kenyans to decide, we want these commissions. Now, the commissions, I think having come into office and now comfortably in, you forget why we created the commission, and you feel now I have a job, and you relax. You are comfortable. You forget, because why do we have all these challenges while we know we had commissions to come in and ensure these challenges are sorted, is one thing. Today, when you look at when we never used to have a commission, I'm just giving an example like SRC, we look at how salaries were handled, I think they were handled better then than now. Because now you have so many regulations that have, with a lot of double standards. And instead of saving, the way we used to save then, we are not saving anymore. In fact, now we are just bloated completely. That is one. Because then you come to the commission that was supposed to look at the numbers, vis-a-vis now the salary. Again, you find there is a lot happening. People just employ in counties. They disregard. Even when you are told you have to have for example, Nairobi, we cannot exceed 130 people to work for the county assembly. That is what the law says. But you go, you'll be so surprised. But nobody comes and questions and bring a document and say, and even present it to Senate or Parliament and say, look, we are stretched. I remember Turkana were overstretched until everything that comes just goes on salaries. Nobody's looking at that. And you have a commission on that. Then now let's go to the issues of how you're spending your money. Again, you have a docket on that. But then you see how we spend, how things move.
So do we do away with the institutions? Do we get competent people? And if they're not competent
instead
people,
of doing away completely, you can merge all this into one and put departments, and you just have one that deals, so that you don't overlap your roles. So that when we are agreeing on this, even this one is on the table at that time, and when we remove one statement, it is clear. It goes clear to the country what we need to have.
Right. Honorable Tom ODEGE, your closing comment.
Let me say this to SRC. After 7 years in the office, Kenyans need to be told the reason why a cleaner in the Public Service Commission earns less than a cleaner in Parliamentary Service Commission, why a cleaner in Teacher Service Commission is earning more than a cleaner in Police Service Commission. If they were made to come and harmonize salaries, if there are special skills in cleaning in the Parliament or special cleaning in the judiciary, which can guarantee them more salary than cleaners in other sectors. We want to see a real harmonization. If it's going by the skills and the work done, let it be put on the table so that we see transparency. Okay. But what SRC has done up to now, to me, they have not scored 15%.
Honorable Barasa, your closing comments.
SRC should be matched to the Public Service Commission, and their role will be to offer advisory on matter salaries and allowances to the individual very many commissions. Because the thing that you are seeing them done is because they have nothing on their in-tray, so they have just become busybodies. And as to whether we should do away with the very many other commissions, I think the answer is yes. We need to audit, re-evaluate the relevance of the very many commissions we have in this country, including parastatals. And as much as I'm opposed to a referendum, but I will support a referendum where Kenyans are given a blank paper and they are told, please list down areas in the Constitution that we want them changed. Not a few people sitting somewhere drinking tea in Nairobi, and they decide on the questions to be forced to the throats of Kenyans, that the only option that the Kenyans have is either to say yes
or no. All right, thank you very much. That is the state of the nation. Thank you very much, Honorable Beatrice Elachi, Speaker of the Nairobi County Assembly, Honorable Tom